I have been observing the same situation for many years. People come to me and
I'm sorry,
complain,
there's nothing more we
"Doctor,
can do.
I can't sleep. I wake up 10 times a night. It feels like memory is fading, and in the morning my head is so heavy, as if I haven't rested at all." We check the heart together, measure the pressure, conduct tests, rule out all obvious problems, but the cause remains unclear. And every time I ask the same question, "What is next to your bed?" And in 9 out of 10 cases, the answer truly surprises even me. What I am about to tell today seems so trivial that most people simply do not pay attention to it. But it is this detail that can undermine your sleep, memory, and nervous system for years. And the most alarming thing is that this object could be just a few centimeters from your head. I beg you, do not turn off this video. At the very end,
System is
I will
failing.
reveal what I usually only tell my close patients. And believe me, this can change not only your dream, but your whole life. As we age, we begin to perceive our bodies differently. It becomes like a sensitive instrument, responding to what went unnoticed in youth. We begin to notice noise, light, warmth, cold, but there is something that is neither seen nor heard, yet felt by every cell. And when this invisible irritant penetrates the bedroom, a person begins to age faster. First, sleep suffers, then concentration, mood, and memory. We start blaming age, hormones, stress, but the real cause may be hiding right at the head of your bed. I remember a woman, Marina Petrovna. She was 67 years old. She complained that she had difficulty falling asleep, waking up every night at 3 o'clock and unable to sleep again. "Doctor," she said, "I have started to forget my grandchildren's names. I read a page and do not remember what it was about." We conducted all the examinations. Everything was fine. Then I asked her to take a picture of her bedroom, and you know what I saw? A stylish wireless alarm clock with backlighting and built-in Wi-Fi was on the nightstand, glowing all night and positioned right by the head. We moved it to another shelf. A week later, Marina Petrovna called back and said, "Doctor, for the first time in a long time, I slept like a baby." This was not the only case, nor the last. With each passing year, I become more convinced that sleep, memory, the nervous system, and even hormonal balance are directly influenced by the objects around us at night, especially those that are plugged in, emit electromagnetic waves, or create a background glow. We have come to consider this safe because everyone lives this way. But the human body after 50 becomes sensitive, like a bare wire. What does not harm the young can exhaust mature people. Sometimes I feel that the main problem of our time is the excess of invisible influence. We are surrounded by technology just as people used to surround themselves with living things. Books, flowers, wood. Now it is screens, chips, chargers, routers. All of this continues to work while we sleep, and our brain even perceives this background noise in deep sleep. It does not rest, it protects itself. That is why you can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up tired. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you fell asleep in complete silence, without a phone nearby, without glowing lights and background noise? Remember that moment. For many, this feeling has become distant, like childhood memories, when the room is dark, quiet, and calm, and the only sound is even breathing. And here lies an important point. Our brain cannot recover while there are sources of radiation around. It perceives this as a warning signal. With age, this reaction intensifies. You may wonder, can an ordinary object have such an influence? Yes, it can. In the next part, I will explain why this object, found on almost everyone's nightstand, emits dangerous waves for sleep and memory, as research confirms, and how one simple step can restore mental clarity and deep, restorative sleep. In the end, I will show how to check your bedroom and make it truly safe. This is a recommendation I give to all my patients over 60. In my experience, removing just one source of radiation can lead to noticeable changes within a few nights. So stay with me until the end, because what I will tell you in conclusion may literally restore your ability to fully relax, recover, and remember without medications and medical intervention. As we age, we begin to realize a simple yet harsh truth. The body does not forgive what once seemed harmless. If before it was possible to fall asleep with a phone under the pillow, with a working TV or a bright screen in front of the eyes and feel refreshed in the morning, then after 50, any little thing starts to reflect in the body like an echo. We become more sensitive because the body no longer wastes energy unnecessarily. It tries to maintain balance, protecting the brain and nerves from everything superfluous. If this equilibrium is disturbed by constant background noise, even if invisible, the consequences become obvious. Have you noticed that your memory is not as sharp as it used to be? That it's hard to concentrate in the morning, and by evening your head feels like it's buzzing? Often, this is not an illness or just old age. It's the constant strain on the nervous system that doesn't get a chance to fully rest. Our brain is an astonishingly sensitive organ. It functions on electrical impulses, and even weak external fields, especially at night, can disrupt its natural rhythms. Sleep becomes shallow, fragmented, and thus not restorative. I did not believe this before. I was a representative of the old school of medicine. Everything that could not be measured by instruments seemed to me a fabrication. However, I began to notice a pattern. Educated and sensible people without chronic illnesses came to me. Their complaints were the same: insomnia, anxious dreams, forgetfulness, irritability. We conducted examinations, prescribed treatment, recommended rest, and almost nothing changed. Until I started asking one simple question: what do you have turned on at night? The phone on charge at the headboard, wireless clock, Wi-Fi router behind the wall, electronic alarms, even electric blankets. All these items are sources of weak but constant radiation. For a young body, it feels like a light breeze. But for a mature one, it is like a cold draft in the heart, quiet yet penetrating. Many start to laugh when I mention radiation from familiar things. Yes, it is not nuclear radiation or gamma rays, but there is something else. Electromagnetic radiation, the waves on which mobile phones, routers, and wireless devices operate. Our brain works at the same frequencies as these waves, and this is the discrepancy. When the fields intersect, the brain has to adapt, and its usual rhythm is disrupted. You lie down to sleep while the brain remains alert, like a sentry on duty. He does not fully disconnect, nor does he enter the deep sleep phase where memory restoration, cell renewal, and nerve regeneration occur. I observed how this reflects on people. One of my patients, Nikolai Ivanovich, a 72-year-old engineer, was always precise and composed, but in recent years he began to complain about forgetfulness. "Doctor, sometimes I can't remember if I turned off the stove. That never happened before," he said. We conducted an examination. Everything turned out normal. Then I asked, "How do you sleep?" He replied, "With the phone under my ear charging so I don't miss a call." We removed the phone from the bedroom and turned off the Wi-Fi at night. 2 weeks later, Nikolai Ivanovich said, "My mind has become clearer and sleep has become real, like in my youth." This is not a miracle. It's physiology. When the brain receives silence, not just sound, but electrical silence, it begins to recover. Many people over 50 complain, "I go to bed on time, but wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning as if by signal." This is not just insomnia. It's the brain's reaction to irritation. Waves from gadgets disrupt the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and thus the regulation of the entire hormonal system. As a result, serotonin levels drop, anxiety arises, the heart begins to work irregularly, memory deteriorates, everything is interconnected. Sleep is not just rest, it is the main way to rejuvenate nerve tissue. Without sleep, the brain ages faster than the body. When I explain to patients that electromagnetic fields are like invisible noise, many start to recall their childhood. Back then, there was no Wi-Fi, no smartphones, and no televisions in every room. People went to bed feeling calm and woke up refreshed. Right now, we live against a backdrop of constant signals, like in a city that never sleeps. But the brain needs silence. Without it, it cannot reboot. Sometimes, just one night without radiation is enough to feel the difference. It's amazing. But I observed how people's memory improved, mood lifted, and blood pressure lowered simply because they removed the source of waves from the bedroom. That's why I always say, maturity is not about weakness, it's about sensitivity. Your body has become wiser. He can no longer tolerate excess. If he shows signs of insomnia, forgetfulness, or irritability, don't be quick to blame age. Perhaps he simply demands silence. In the next part, I will talk about the first specific object that often becomes a source of radiation right by your bed. This is something that almost everyone encounters, but rarely pays attention to. And the most amazing thing is that by replacing it with a safe alternative, you can regain full restorative sleep and mental clarity in just a few days. If I were asked which object most often destroys sleep and memory after 50, I would answer without hesitation: a mobile phone by the bed. This small familiar attribute of our modern life has become an invisible enemy of our tranquility. We are used to keeping it close, as if the world would stop without it. The phone charges on the nightstand, sometimes hidden under the pillow or just lying by the head. We fall asleep under its light, wake up to its signals, and do not realize that it is taking away our health and years of life. When I began to investigate the impact of phones on sleep quality, I was struck by one simple pattern. People who keep their devices in the bedroom almost always complain of fatigue, anxiety, and difficulties concentrating. The reason for this is not only the radiation, although it certainly plays a significant role. The main point is that the brain never completely shuts down when there is a source of constant signals nearby. The phone is constantly connected to the network, receiving notifications, maintaining communication with towers, and emitting electromagnetic waves every second. For us, it's imperceptible. But for the brain, it's like a constant noise that disrupts full sleep. You might say you put the phone in airplane mode. This is good. But even in this mode, it remains a source of light and an electrostatic field, especially if it is connected to charging. And most importantly, the habit of being connected even at night keeps the nervous system in a state of readiness. The brain does not receive the signal to completely relax. It is always on alert, meaning it does not rest. I remember a man named Sergei Alexandrovich who is 64 years old. He came to me with complaints. I can't sleep without the TV, and if I do fall asleep, I wake up in the middle of the night. Memory has deteriorated significantly. We talked, and I asked him to tell me about his dream. It turned out that on his nightstand lay a phone and a tablet, both charging. He laughed. "Doctor, nobody lives without this now." We agreed to conduct an experiment and remove everything from the bedroom, leaving only the unlit alarm clock. After 5 days, he said, "I don't believe it, but I am sleeping. I am really sleeping." His constant headache disappeared, and after a month, he added that he began to remember details that used to get lost in the fog. In my experience, a phone by the bedside is like a tap that constantly drips irritation into the nervous system. It drips quietly, but continuously. And if you don't stop this flow, no pills or calming teas will help. Many underestimate the importance of sleep. Meanwhile, it is precisely during sleep that the brain cleanses itself in a literal sense. During this period, the so-called glymphatic system is activated, which flushes out metabolic waste from the brain. If sleep is shallow or interrupted, the flow of this inner river is disrupted, and toxins accumulate in the brain, leading to decreased concentration and worsened memory. A phone by the bed interferes with this deep phase of sleep. The brain does not sink into the necessary waves, remaining on the edge of wakefulness. Therefore, you can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up tired. Here's what I recommend to all my patients. Remove the phone from the bedroom. Use a regular alarm clock that doesn't light up and isn't connected to Wi-Fi. Charge your device in another room. Try to stick to this for at least a week. You will feel how quieter your mind has become, as if your brain has finally stopped whispering, "What if something happens?" Or, "What if a message comes?" I understand that for many this may seem trivial, but it is precisely from small things that our health is formed. One of my patients once said, "Doctor, all my life I thought health was about pills and tests, but you taught me to turn off my phone." He laughed, but gratitude was evident in his eyes. A month later, his sleep improved, his blood pressure decreased, and his memory became more stable. And, most importantly, he stopped being afraid to fall asleep because he finally realized that sleep could be a true rest, not a struggle for peace. Try it yourself. Before bed, turn off your phone, switch off the router, give yourself at least 8 hours without connection. The brain must remember that night is a time of silence. If you are troubled by the thought that someone might call, think. If it is really important, the person will wait until morning. Your health is more important than any notification. Here is an interesting fact. Studies show that people sleeping without gadgets nearby have a melatonin level increase of 25 to 30%. This means better recovery, stronger memory, and more stable mood. It's quite simple. The brain gets the right to rest. Don't postpone this. Try it for at least a week. And when one morning you wake up without the heaviness in your head, you will understand why I've been saying for so many years, remove the phone from the bedroom and life will start to gain bright colors. In the second recommendation, which I will discuss in the next part, it will be about not only rest, but also what contributes to not only mental balance, but also slows down brain aging. This is a simple, yet incredibly powerful method that I have discovered for my patients over many years. If the first step is silence, the second is the restoration of inner energy, without which no sleep will be effective. When we remove distractions, noise, light, and gadgets, the body for the first time in a long while gets the chance to hear itself. But this is only the first step. To restore the brain, he needs not only silence, but also the energy of tranquility. And now, I will tell you about the second element that not only improves sleep quality, but also slows down brain aging, strengthening memory. This element is simple but often underestimated: deep breathing before sleep and the proper oxygen rhythm during sleep. You may be surprised how ordinary breathing can affect memory, but yes, and I will explain why this is so. After 50, our metabolism slows down, blood vessels lose elasticity, and the brain receives less oxygen. If we add shallow sleep to this, the situation becomes dangerous. Oxygen is fuel for the brain, but for it to be absorbed, breathing must be calm, rhythmic, and unhurried. Many people breathe too quickly and superficially, especially before sleep. We feel tense, anxious, and our thoughts do not leave us. As a result, our brain remains in a state of stress even at night. That's why I always assert: breathing is the connection between body and mind. Mastering the right breathing techniques can restore harmony to the nervous system, lower blood pressure, and improve memory and sleep quality. This is not just words, but scientifically grounded physiology. When the breath slows down, the vagus nerve is activated, responsible for relaxation, restoration, and inner balance. Let me tell you about a case with a patient named Lydia Stepanovna, who was 69 years old. She was a smart and active woman, but constantly complained of fatigue. "Doctor, I feel like I'm running in my sleep," she said. We checked her heart and thyroid. All tests were normal. I suggested a simple exercise before sleep: a slow inhale through the nose for a count of 4, holding the breath for 2 seconds, and a long, gentle exhale through the mouth for a count of 6, just 5 minutes before sleep. A week later, she reported, "Doctor, I sleep like before, soundly and peacefully." And a month later, her memory began to recover. I even noticed that she stopped looking for her glasses in the mornings. Just like that, breath can change the situation if given attention. Scientific research confirms that deep breathing before sleep increases oxygen saturation in the brain, improves cerebrospinal fluid circulation, and activates restorative processes. The brain is indeed cleansed, and the older we get, the more important it is to maintain this nightly flow. In my experience, people who regularly practice breathing exercises before sleep live longer and feel calmer. They experience fewer fluctuations in blood pressure, headaches, and forgetfulness, as breathing is the key to self-regulation. It does not require pills or special devices, just 5 minutes of your attention to yourself. Sometimes people say to me, "Doctor, I can't meditate, I can't breathe properly." I reply, "You don't have to be a master."